I'd like to talk a little bit about CANDO. It's changed a great deal in recent years. And to capture that change, I'd like to extend a little beyond my 3-year term. I'd like to go back 2 more terms to the Great Recession and how CANDO has changed since that time. At that time, you will recall, those were hard times financially. We had a land development company, but nobody was buying land. So the staff were scrambling, the organization was scrambling. There was talk of cash burn. How long will it be before the cash runs out? What will happen then? It was a very tense time. The first action that CANDO took was to develop a community-based strategic plan. This plan went from very general principles, mission, to very fine detail and to particular assignments for staff, what particular staff should be doing. The staff picked it up, they bought into it, and they completed these tasks. And very soon the plan became obsolete. After that, it was revised, and as they completed those tasks, it needed to be re-revised. And I expect that we'll have more revisions down the road. Those are good signs because it means that the organization is following a strategic plan, and for the first time you have this whole organization is being tied to a community-based, large-scale strategic plan. Kevin O'Donnell regularly reports to the executive committee and occasionally to the board progress on that plan, so it stays in the sights of the governing bodies of CANDO. In order to carry out that plan, CANDO needed cash. So CANDO got out of the railroad business, sold the railroad, managed to refinance debt, which gave us the flexibility to be able to respond to opportunities. This gave CANDO the revenue that it needed to move forward. And one of the first things we did, an opportunity came up to buy a building. We bought that building, and that increased the rental revenue. And for the first time, we got to a situation where operating income exceeded operating expense independent of land sales. We've recently acquired a new building, and I expect that in time when that building is digested and leased, that our rental income will increase still further, and we will have a higher level of sustainability. That is, income will further exceed expense. With the perhaps acquisition of another piece of property or 2 more, I think we can confidently assume that, in fact, this will continue. And that's a very important prospect for the community because that means that the money that is derived from sales of land or property can be used for new capital investment. I'd like to tell you a couple of other major things that have happened to the organization too, which may not be so readily apparent. One is that the governance of CANDO has changed substantially in the past few years. I'm just happy to report that we finally completed our first full year under all the new governance organizations, governance function, such as having audit committees, looking more into the practices of the organization, looking into HR practices and so on, as a function of the board. I'm happy to report that it seems to have gone well. We've gone through a full year of it, and we seem to be on a new plane with respect to governance. When I came to CANDO, I would describe the maintenance record system as somewhat archaic. We have an electronic maintenance system now, and that's just being digested still by the maintenance crew, but it's proving to be very useful. When that is paired with geographic information system, which is on the boards, is coming, I think it won't be long before people look back and say, how did we ever function without it? These maintenance changes are going to be important for emergency planning, for general maintenance, and as CANDO acquires more property, they're going to be more significant to the organization. Finally, in CANDO's strategic plan now contains a part that we have a commitment to the downtown Hazleton, to making that a better place. And this has always been part of CANDO's, in the background, part of its intent. The Renaissance Center is a clear demonstration of that. But CANDO has picked up on that recently too, and remember when building came available, CANDO purchased it at some expense, and then has overseen the restoration of that building, a considerable expense, but all on a contribution to the downtown of Hazleton. And I expect to see more there. So we have CANDO being directly involved in basically the renaissance or the rebuilding of downtown Hazleton, that vital urban core. And I do subscribe, and I believe CANDO subscribes as a matter of principle, to the idea that a vital community has to have a vital center city. CANDO has a proud history of going back to Dr. Dessen, kind of a revered figure, the stories of the spec building, the lunch pail campaigns, and how CANDO built from really nothing to a very significant organization. But I'll observe that for the last several decades, the face of CANDO has been one Kevin O'Donnell. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for where CANDO is right now. I tell you, in my experience, I've known a number of people who do what Kevin does for a living in other parts of the state. And I'll say Kevin is head and shoulders above those people in ability and in his understanding of what he's doing. He's, I think, to some people, an unappreciated talent. He is very effective at leading his staff. He's very effective at working with the board. He is very effective in the local community, and more than just CANDO, he's very involved in the community in a number of ways. He's effective in the region. He's well known in Northeast Pennsylvania and held up as a model by a lot of people, and he's well known in the state. He has a very good reputation, and it's very well earned. I'd particularly like to thank Nancy Stasko for the support she's provided me personally for these past 3 years. She gets me where I should be, makes sure I know when meetings are, what they're about. She's been a great resource to me and to the entire organization, keeping the train on the track, so to speak. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Nancy. Not just Nancy, though. CANDO has a remarkable staff of professionals. In fact, that was one of the things that led to our change in governance, is recognition that the professional staff of CANDO, the people who work there, are really the ones that are primarily carrying out the mission, while the board is performing more of a supervisory or oversight function. They're great people, and in fact, they're getting better. We're very fortunate to have the people we have, and we need to have great respect for them and regard for them, because we need to retain them and to help them to grow as the organization grows.